Do you want a revolution? Ooh, ooh. I said, do you want a revolution? All right. Today I am reviewing Jesus Revolution. So the Netflix description goes like this: a hippie street preacher, an unhappy teen, and a straight laced California preacher wind up creating a new type of church after crossing paths in the 70s. So, yes, I wish I saw this in theaters, but I didn't, but it's okay. Uh, just saw it for the first time tonight, and I loved it. So this is a great marriage of the type of content that I want on my channel. I At least I want to start out doing like whatever I feel like. But the biggest things that like grab my attention of what I want to do is like reviews of movies, TV shows, maybe games, we'll see. But also I want to talk about spiritual matters and my own life, my own spiritual journey, and um, just my own understanding about some spiritual, religious topics, etc. So this boom, marriage is it's a marriage of the two general categories of stuff that I want to discuss in this channel. So yeah. So Jesus Revolution, let's see. Okay, I gotta remember to give it like I think I'm gonna do what should I do? Thumbs, stars? What if I did like 5 thumbs up? I like it. best 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 out of 5 thumbs. Anyway, wow. Um, this is really a fascinating tale of what they call the Jesus movement, which is the spiritual awakening revival that actually started in the late 60s and went on to eventually become it gave birth to the non-denominational megachurch world that exists today in the U.S. And wow, what a what a fascinating what a fascinating movie. You know, I'd heard about the Jesus movement before. A Apparently one of my former priests of a church I used to go to was part of the Jesus movement back in the day. And I heard about Christian hippies and communes and like Christian intentional communities that go way back to back in the day. And um, yeah, I know that there's at least one kind of Christian-based cult that grew out of the hippie movement. However, yeah, I mean, it's really cool to see it on film and see Kelsey Grammer, Frazier, in the role of Pastor Chuck. He's the straight-laced California preacher, and the guy from Chosen who plays Jesus in The Chosen playing the street preacher. It's perfect. It's a role where he gets to keep the hair and the beard of Jesus in a different role. So it's funny how that worked. It just worked out. Um, yeah. What can I say about this? So I guess I'll talk about some of the ways it relates to me. I've always been fascinated by hippies. Like as soon as I found out like what as soon as I found out what hippies were, I was like, that's what I want to be. I fully resonate with that. I love that. A love for the earth, a love for peace, connection to divine. I love all of that. And it just matched up fully with what I understood about Yeshua or Jesus, the Prince of Peace, and you know, anti-war, peaceful direct action, in favor of human rights of all people, regardless of color, anti-racist, pro gender equality. Like, I love it, love it. Um, so it was cool, really cool to me to find out that there was Christian hippies as well, and it's like it's a perfect match to me. It seems like to me. Um, yeah, so it was just fascinating to me. I never would have guessed that one of the main. I'm sure it didn't all spring from this Calvary Chapel, and I guess even in the movie they talked about this burgeoning Jesus movement getting started in San Francisco. But from my understanding, the Jesus movement does start in California and then spread out from there. But it's interesting that one of the main centers of this movement sparks out from a partnership between a street preacher, a hippie street preacher, and just a regular run of the mill, um, straight laced California pastor. And it's portrayed as a kind of an aging, dwindling church that he leads, and um, yeah, the Netflix description kind of focuses on the three male main characters, but the women are essential characters as well, and I think this movie does a good job of showing the importance of the women characters. Um, the pastor's daughter is the one that brings the street preacher and her pastor father together. She's the catalyst, and it's through their conversations that they decided to kind of, you know, he decided to welcome the street preacher and his friends into the church and just create an environment where they could feel welcome. And he gave the street preachers, by the way, his name was Lonnie Frisbee. He wanted to give Lonnie Frisbee his, some time to speak as well. And it's just cool to see how that just spread and just caught on like wildfire, and more people started coming. And I love the scene where Pastor Chuck starts washing the feet of some of the shoeless hippie congregants that show up. Um, Interestingly enough, probably in response to, and they show, I don't know if this is like true to reality, but in the movie it shows him doing that partly in response to some of his older congregants complaining about them messing up the rugs with with dirty feet. So he said, you know what? I'll wash the feet. It's biblical. It's awesome. I love that because like growing up in the Episcopal Church, you know, uh, during the Maundy Thursday service is just part of the Holy Week service, which is the week that eventually culminates in Easter, right? During that Thursday service, Episcopal priests and also with the help of the volunteers in the Episcopal Church, they're called lay Eucharistic ministers, but with help of some volunteers, the Episcopal priests do wash the feet of their congregants. Anyone who wants to go up and get their feet washed can get their feet washed. And like to me, that like was always like, whoa, that was always like such a powerful event and moment. I say that not having been to a Monty Thursday service in a long time, but to me that always stood out as something so powerful and meaningful to me because it's a act that's straight out of the Bible. Jesus washed the feet of his disciples. And as much as, we have shoes and sidewalks and socks and all these things that keep our feet more clean than someone wearing sandals in, you know, 1 AD walking around, probably through horse manure, donkey manure, um, who knows, whatever else, dirt, mud, what else might be in the streets of, you know, first century Palestine. But it's still meaningful. It's a very humble thing for a religious leader to do. And so that was really cool for me, seeing that. Now, the unhappy teen in that description is a character by the name of Greg Laurie. And yeah, Greg Laurie, if I have some evangelical friends who hear that name, I say, Greg Laurie, I know that name. Yeah. Yep. It's, Jesus Revolution is a true story, folks. And it's interesting to see his development and from being a kid whose mom wanted him to go to this military academy to, dropping out of that, diving into the hippie scene, getting into drugs, and like encountering some very bad situations with drugs, and then rethinking that whole thing. And same night, he feels like he's, had it with drugs. Runs right into Lonnie Frisbee, and he, reaches out to him, and he meets him out there in the rain, checks on him, and it's just really cool. Like, I want to be that type of person to check on someone if you hear them yelling and running down the street in the rain. Like, yeah, people go through hard stuff. It's a hard world. It's a hard world. Wow. I expected this film to focus more on Kelsey Grammer, Kelsey Grammer's character, Pastor Chuck, but it kind of starts off there, but it shifts pretty quickly to focusing mainly on Greg. And yeah, Lonnie Frisbee, he gets a lot of attention and focus as well. But yeah, there's a lot of focus on Greg, and it just shows his journey. So in the end, oh yeah, spoiler alert. In the end, he gets his own church at such a young age, and it's amazing. Um, and it just makes me think, like, man, like, where would I be if I really truly learned to listen to God at a younger age? Where would I be if I truly started building a relationship with God from a younger age? I still struggle with my relationship with God. Full disclosure, I'm not the best in relationships, period. It sucks to say that because it's like relationships are literally probably the most important things in life. Certainly, it's the most important thing in life because relationship with God is the most important thing. So, and one of the most important thing God wants us to do is be in a relationship with other people and love people. And it's I was always attracted to the ways that you could love others, strangers out there. I've always been attracted to the macro love of neighbor, but for me, it's been harder to like your actual neighbor, like the person you're actually physically next to, like your family and friends and stuff. And that's, you know, I have challenges with that type of intimacy, especially when people are not, when I'm not able to be in people's physical vicinity. Like I have difficulty keeping up with people over the phone, email, Facebook, text. It's difficult for me, but I'm working on it, and it's really important, and I'm gonna get it with God's help. But yeah, wow, yeah, music is pretty good in the film. It's pretty well shot. Um, it's not quite like art house level cinematography, but it's fine. It's good. It's solid. The acting is pretty good. Yeah, it's fascinating to see a snapshot of this moment in history. And in the end, it says that the Jesus movement is believed to be the largest spiritual awakening in American history. And wow, like why isn't that talked about? As much as I'm not the type of person to say they need to bring prayer back in schools, prayer never left schools. Students can always pray however in public schools, students can pray however they want. And students can lead group prayer however they want, even in the public school. But anyway, um, yeah. I mean, this should be taught in school. They teach about the Great Awakening of the, when was that? 1800s? 1700s? I gotta look that up. I glazed, uh, for whatever reason, I glazed over that. That like kind of passed by me in history class. It didn't really leave a big impression on me. I'll probably appreciate it now a lot more. But yeah, and the fact that the Jesus movement that this movie talks about kicks off in 1968, like 1968. I mean that I don't know if you know this, but 1968 was a huge like global shift. Like so many things happened around that time. I mean, that was the year Martin Luther King was assassinated, and there were uprisings in the United States, not just riots. Those were uprisings that happened, and I mean, my mom remembers tanks rolling down the street in Detroit, like insanity. Um, and the Vietnam War was going on. There were uprisings in France in 1968, and I know there was all kinds of upheaval in 1960. I'm gonna finish this review, dagnabbit. Anyway, yeah, 1968, really big year, global shift year, all kinds of stuff happening all over the world. And for in that same year, for the Jesus movement to be happening, that is, wow, that's a big deal. For Jesus movement to be starting in that year, like, whew, like God knows what she's doing. She knows. Okay, believe, believe you me. Whew, I was not gonna let the devil run amok. Mm. Just imagine Dr. King seeing the Jesus movement. Imagine what he would have thought of that. But yeah, I could be wrong, but it seems like modern Christian rock music and the non-denominational uh, vibe and the megachurch vibe kind of originates from the Jesus movement. That's what it seems like to me, at least. And to me, it I don't know, feels like a shame that the particularly the peace, the focus on peace, did not last with that. There's still a co-signing of war and military in the U.S. and I think I'm gonna do a video on that about how truly, really, to my understanding, um, military participation, fighting in war, is not Christian. It's not in alignment with the teachings of Jesus. Not at all. So I have to do a solo video on that. But yes, Jesus Revolution. Man. I love Jesus. I love a good movie. Man. I'm going to give this 4.5 thumbs up. 4.5 out of 5. Yeah. Well, hope you like this. Like, subscribe, comment, and yeah, see you next time.